Yeah. Hi, welcome everyone to the first meeting of 2025. Um, this is our OLM community meeting. I want to share my screen so you can look at the agenda. Okay. You should be able to see my agenda, like on my screen, which has the community meeting document and it has the agendas. So January 7th today, and the first one is the RFC from Anik and Jordan. Catalog query API endpoint. The lazy consensus date is 8th January 2025, which is tomorrow. Jordan, Anik, do you want to add anything here? I guess not. So moving forward, we had a couple of action items. One was to cancel the meetings and upload video recordings, which is done. There is another one which we wanted to make sure the Epic, we have Epic for everything, and don't want the um, document we have in our repo kind of marked it deprecated. We have marked it deprecated, and I think Camila created a Word document. Somebody's typing very furiously. I think it's Adam. Adam, can you please mute? Thank you. So, so yeah, Camila has a document about going through the epics. I went through some of it, but I haven't completed it. So something to get back to finish this action item. The next one is Joe and me supposed to create a dashboard. We should reflect the relative priority of the epics. We have the dashboard, but the epics are not sorted properly. That's something we'll fix. So moving forward to the discussion topics. The first one is from Camila about release. Can we push a release? Have has anyone, like, is there any objection? So in my opinion, we should be able to do a release now. We kind of agreed to do 6 weeks releases, and it's not. I know we should be able to do it now, unless somebody have any objections. What do you guys think?
I think there are a couple votes for doing it.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds like we have no objectors to what we proposed as our regularly scheduled cadence.
Yeah,
Jordan, can you explain what does that mean? Is it like you're
I
talking about
just
this?
mean that everybody seems to be poised to go with the existing plan, which is to release on a 6-week cadence.
Right. Yeah.
yeah. So are you trying to do this one? Is that fine? Are you try to push after this meeting?
Camila, do you have access to push the tags?
I think so.
Okay.
If that's a failure, I will let you know, folks.
Okay. Okay. So
And just to clarify here, we're pushing a 1.1.
That would be my next question. I think so.
Yep.
yeah,
So
should be
I guess
1.1.
we have an action item later in this agenda to talk a little bit about backport policies, but I think in general our modus operandi has been always to bump minor version to leave room for potential discussions on backport support.
I think the release is with everything, right? So it's just like the other one is because before Christmas we thought about just do a release with one bug fix, and then we don't have a backward policy. How we will deal with this scenario? So
Right. So moving to the next topic, Joe has a topic about should we remove the force semver, feature get, and associate code? Uh, I'm not sure if Joe is in this call.
No, actually, I'm the culprit here because I was going through the agenda document this morning in preparation for this meeting, and I saw that we had a bunch of stuff stuck in the quote next meeting area, and so I was moving it to the next meeting. But Joe has conflicts today, so he's not able to attend. I would say that we could postpone this one. It wasn't particularly pressing, but we don't want to lose track of it either.
Right. So
Sorry, just
I'm
I wanted to go back to the previous thing for a sec. Just on pushing 1.1. So are we sure that everything like in the changelog for this release it actually raises to the level of a minor release? Or could
So
we get
our
away with
general policy
less?
was to always push to minor. Whenever
Okay,
we did a new release, we would release as a minor bump.
okay.
We have a morning bug fix. I can check, but yeah.
There is more. Okay, more. It's features too. Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah, I'll move the agenda item about the forced Semver stuff into the next. Oh,
Yeah.
you've done it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep the busy work off the host's plate.
Yeah, that I'll put it here. Maybe Brad has reason, right? The catalog G.
Well, I guess let's defer
One dot
diving
one.
down into this conversation until we get into the bug support, the later agenda item. I'm sorry, the screen just changed,
Sure.
so I can't see the agenda anymore. Let me pull it up on my screen.
No, I can go back to the previous one.
So I think we ought to establish a backport policy for the project
But
before we dive too deeply into.
for the catalog G, we have a new. I think we changed the metrics, right? The could be RABC, so probably 1.1 it's better than just a bug fix, right? That's
Yeah, if there's
what I say.
any one feature non-bug fix, then I think that's good enough, right?
Yeah. So I think that's offline, Camila. I think it's up to, I mean, you can take a look and decide. If you need any help, then obviously you can use our community channel to basically discuss.
Okay. The
Well,
other sorry.
it's just it's a good segue into the next agenda item actually,
Right.
which is a formalized backport policy for this project.
Right.
Yes, I put a documentation. The pull request is here, right? It's the same policy that we have for operator SDK, like more or less the same. Uh, the document, the pull request is open for catalog G, but will be for operator controller, right? When we have the mono repo, it will be the same. So the idea is like how you we need to define that, like the backwards policy. Should we bump should you be committed to do a lot of back minor releases for old versions or just the latest one? The proposal is just for the latest one, unless we decided like for a real good reason that we will backport for others.
So from a procedural standpoint here, how do we proceed? Right, so we have a proposal here to consider patch releases for backport support. Um, are we taking a vote? Is there open conversation in that issue and we should just offline that conversation until this discussion matures?
I think we definitely it's a good today's like definitely this meeting is a good place to like talk about why do we need a backport policy at all? Do we have users and things like that, just the background and context,
The backport policy actually is like, for example, we have a bug, right?
right?
And we want to release just the bug, not a lot of things. So would it be like 1.2.1 or 1.2.2, right? It'll be just a minor release. Now we don't have a policy. If we should like we have a CVE, we have something that we want to do just a minor release, or if he always will do like and if it is a CV, should be for example, uh backport for, let's imagine I will put in the document, right? That is easier, right? So let here is this. So let's imagine, because now we have 1 0, right? Then we will have after today it is 1. Another day we will have like, then we have a CV, right? Then we do you want to, if you want to only release the CV, then you do like oops, right? A minor release. A patch release, sorry.
But yeah, back to patch release.
Yeah.
My question is
Then we want to backport like do also okay. Or we could the proposal is we define that we just backport for the latest one, unless we really need and we discuss it. As an exception, we can decide to backport for other versions, but the proposal is just like you would do only that, not the other ones.
so your current proposal is basically moving forward with 1.2.1, right?
Yeah, if we have the scenario, we would only do for the latest,
But
not
even if
not the other ones.
Camila, with even if you're with proposal, right? If you're not creating separate, I mean, we even if like if you want to release 1.2.1, that would be also like extra amount of work because we have to make sure that we take 1.2.0 code, not some, there might be more code which might have merged between
No, for this
1.2.0 and later, right?
for the release that we are speaking to do now, need to be 1.1, right? Okay, that we decided. The point is, let's imagine we have this scenario, right? We release it today, we do releasing the next 6 weeks, then we have a CV. What is our policy? Like in OpenShift, we have the policy to backport the CV for X versions. The proposal in this document is we will only backport for the latest, not for many versions.
So I don't think OpenShift is the right comparison, right? In my opinion,
No,
we
that
should
is
we should we should look into other community project similar space as ours and see if that
no, that was
something.
just to illustrate the
Yeah,
example,
I
right?
understand.
Like
I understand.
how we can do. We could do, in my opinion, we should only do to the latest because we don't have enough effort to always be committed to backport for many old versions, right? I think we don't need that.
So,
Uh,
Camilla, would it be safe to simplify the question into
Help me out.
uh, it, to like if we have an outstanding need, if we have a need-driven release, as I put a note in the agenda here, because I think it sounds like what we're talking about here is we have this regular cadence for releases, and that's one thing, right? But then we also have this need-driven or event-driven release need as well.
Yes.
And then what does it look like? How does it work? What's the box around it? And at least one version of that I've heard discussed here is we will cut a new release based on some priority PR merge that we feel is important to get out to the community quickly, and we would do it as a patch release on the existing release. That is, we would not do any kind of a backport, but we would release, like in your example here, a 1.2.1, holding
That is the
just this
proposal.
priority thing.
Yeah. That is the proposal that in the PR
Okay.
with the docs. Exactly that, just to the list, not to many of the versions.
So I go back to procedurally, how do we respond here? Because it's good for us to have some conversation here, but if we haven't captured that conversation in the PR or somewhere else, then we stand a good chance to just circle
Uh, Yeah. Yeah, that is the proposal, right?
So can we go refine that discussion in that PR and work in that direction, or are there other areas we need to discuss before we could do that?
I think I'm in the same scenario like you, right? How you take a decision? Vote? Should we discuss the PR? What is the next item? Because we have the proposal. The policy is the same adopted for operator framework. I don't know operator lifecycle manager V0 if it has any policy described. That is a good point.
I think, it's just basically LG consensus, and also if there is a PR, if you get enough LGTM, like LGTM on that PR, I think,
Yeah,
um,
we can discuss offline. I don't know. Should I ping in the channel and try to vote if everybody agrees, like just the lists? Because the policy is like if we have a CV, if we have a bug that we need to release just the bug, right? Because it's critical. How you do?
So
That is the point.
this is starting to smell a certain amount like a brief, just in the fact that we have a formalized context to have a discussion there. And we also, more importantly, have a formalized approach in there to signify acceptance.
I think we can simplify that, right? In any moment in the world, would you like to do we have the CV, right? We have it is we have it like 30140. We have a CV that we need to put to release the fix as soon as possible, right? Do you, in any moment in the life, you want to do like 141, 131,
yeah.
120? Would that make sense? Would you like to make effort, spend this kind of effort, or we can simplify and by default we do just for the lists as proposed. And if for any reason we discuss in the meeting that for any extraordinary scenario we need to backport for old versions as well, we do. Because I don't know if the brief is required, right? It's like very small,
I
simple thing.
think so. I
So
don't think we need a brief in terms of when we're trying to ask if we're going to backport, but I think I agree with Jordan that right now this feels like a conversation that's big enough that should probably be a brief. So like instead of having like maybe we need to take that discussion that you already started, Camilla, in catalog D and expand it. Like you could write out all these examples and everything and put that into a brief that then we could bring back to the group and discuss further.
yeah, I guess what I feel is missing here is that we have a proposal for one approach, and the approach seems pretty straightforward, and I don't have any issues with it. But there's a lot of stuff that's come up in discussion here, even that kind of feels like it's outside that box, but we're not capturing any of that. So I guess I'd like to a negative policy is also useful to capture, and what we have here is a positive. And so I'd like to also capture things like, hey, we're not going to do it for backports of non-latest release.
I
And
feel what do you point. You
yeah,
want a document that we track the reasons for why you do only for the list, for
well,
example.
not just arguments for only the latest, but also any other
Whatever we decide.
categories. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the question is, correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan. The question is, if we want to release a bug fix release on why and when, how do we decide that this is the exact scenario on which we want to do a patch release? For example, CVE is fine, but then CVEs also have different severity. And is it about all CVEs or certain CVEs? If there is a bug on which we do a patch release, is it has to be a blocker bug or critical bug or any bug? Like, those things kind of
Right. More of a
agreed upon.
policy statement is what I'm
Yeah.
looking for. Exactly, Lala.
Yeah, it's just for critical things.
Yeah,
that I
then the
just
question is,
support.
what is critical, right? I mean, how do we define critical?
I think usually how that it does, like the CVs has the average has this definition by default, and a bug we usually discuss in the channel, right? In the other project we discuss that is critical. We need to do a release as soon as possible because it's blocking someone or because it's causing problems, uh, things like that. It's
Yeah,
like
I mean,
I don't think for the bug we would be able to categorize and like say that is the recipe. It's more case by case, but that is fine. I think if the decision, the action here is do a brief, I do the brief, no problem at all. Let's move forward.
yeah, no, I understand. So I think, so
No
the
worries.
question is, so Camila, I think one aspect is missing here is because you do not have at this point a lot of users, right? And and also I think we want to be more defensive in terms of where and how, when we want to do patch releases.
Okay.
Yeah, because it takes resources, right? And we do not know how much time we would get, how much time we would have in future versus, doing patch releases, doing backport versus, doing all the other works we need to do. So it's more of a kind of a policy statement, obviously, which can be changed. Let's say hypothetically we get a lot of users, right? And then several, like most of our users got impacted because of a bug, and they said, we want this fixed as soon as possible without anything else. That changes everything, right? I mean, right now we do not have many users. And so at this point, we should be more defensive, in my opinion, to do all of these things. But we should be basically, it's a policy we should define, and then we can come back and change the policy again if the changes, the need arises in future. So either we can do both the ways. I think if you want to write a brief, that would be more of a it would be good in from a business model kind of thing, which everybody can review and we can have a legit consensus on it. Or if you want to go through the meeting route, then we can have several meetings and basically do a
I do a brief. That is fine.
yeah. Okay.
Let's put that as action line. It's
Okay.
okay.
Cool. Thanks. Let me put action down.
So yeah, I have why would we do anything different here than we're doing in any other repository?
So
Like, it seems like we're creating unnecessary work here.
right. So Adam, when you say any other repository, you mean OLM, OLM V0 repositories,
I
or
mean, every repository and operator framework follows the same backport policy and release
Exactly.
versions.
Yeah, it's something very simple. I thought that we could like, okay, that is fine. But if
So the
people
one big
to-
distinction between this and the other repositories is that for V1, the maintainers have decided that they want to follow a regular cadence of releases, which opens the door to, well, what if something needs to be done that doesn't fall in that cadence? For everything else, it's a need based.
I mean, those are not any different problems, right? You still set up the repo the same way as every other repo. Operator controller already started to be set up that way with release folders at the top level. Sorry, release branches at the top level. Those just look like they were stopped at V 0.16. So I still don't understand how that's any different.
Well, that aspect of things is a little different because I believe the repository that you're pointing at was a V0 repository that used to be a downstream repository that was donated to CNCF. but had
No,
existing,
I'm talking about operator controller.
oh, operator controller. Why was I
Yeah.
thinking operator lifecycle manager?
Yeah, no. So what I'm saying is this paradigm was already followed.
Ye-
What Camilla's talking about, that's in all of these other repositories, it just stopped at v0.16.
I think still, Adam, I would say that's a valid point, but also because you're doing V1, we're trying to do things a little differently. It's worth finding out if this needs changes, as compared to V0.
Yeah, I still think that what you're talking about here is de facto versus de jure, really, because like Adam, you point out that we have existing branches in operator controller for previous releases that seem to be falling in line with this policy here, but I don't think we actually had a policy. It was just we had a particular maintainer who liked to do it that way, and so they did it that way, and the project was young, and so therefore it was fine. And we're just trying to be mindful about, or at least transparent about, the decisions we make with regards to this subject.
Yeah, I'm just pointing out the fact that if a different policy is chosen here, it's going to be confusing across all repos, not just for end users, but also for maintainers.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair.
Right. Like,
I think the question would be like very simple, like do you will want to be committed forever that we like putting a document? If you have a CV, we need to do a patch. We will do for the latest three versions that we have, or just the latest two versions that we have, or the only the latest, right? Because we always can have an exception. We have someone that needing an old version and we decide to do. It's like but that is fine as well. I'm okay to do the brief if everybody thinks that is better a brief. You will understand better the scenarios. It's okay.
Yeah, I think the brief would be definitely a good place where you can discuss all the scenarios and basically do a good discussion. Cool. Thanks, Camila. So moving to the next topic, Camila, about discussion about how to add a doc with guidance over how to consume metrics and integrate it with third-party solutions like Prometheus operator. Most common scenario is requested.
Yeah, that would be good. We have Joe. I think we need to postpone it for when Joe here, right? Because the point is we remove the Prometheus configuration that we have in the project because that was unsafe and it was unused. Then we discuss in the pull request that we would like to have a documentation to describe how to consume the metrics and put how we could use with Prometheus because it's a common scenario. Then in the pull request, Joe raised a few things like he would like the doc folks always help us with the docs. How I think he has he want to use this scenario as an example for we define some kind of a process. So I think it would be better if Joe be with us for he be able to explain his concerns, he explain what he wants to define as a process, and then we be able to discuss that in you will be in a better position, right?
Cool. That sounds good. I copied this to the next agenda as well, and then moving this and adding a topic comment here that moving this topic for the next meeting to the next meeting. Sorry. So moving to the next topic, Adam, you have a topic around security policies are missing from V1 repositories.
Yeah, so it doesn't seem like we're getting CVE information for these V1 repos. So someone that's an admin should set those up.
I'm not familiar with this. I'm an admin, so I can fix it. Do you want to work with me offline on this, Adam? Like, so when you say CVEs, is GitHub recommendation CVEs, or where do the CVEs comes from?
So the GitHub security tag, like
Okay, so
you'll
GitHub.
be notified by CVEs in your repo, and then sometimes Dependabot will create them automatically, but sometimes they won't, depending on. So that doesn't look like it's set up on these.
We have depended about creating the usual pull request, like the library dependency pull request, right? I think I've seen it. Yeah, this one, for example. So but the security policies are not set somehow, and because of which the CVE informations are not coming.
Or maybe I just can't see it because I'm an admin.
How do you see
Not
it?
an admin.
Can you please can you tell me how can I see it here?
Are there things listed under security? Dependabot.
Security advisory is enabled.
Okay, so it is enabled. It's just not public. Okay.
Yeah, so Dependabot alerts enabled. Secret scanning alerts and disabled. Is this what you're talking about? No, this is
No,
secrets.
no,
No.
this is fine. It's just because it's not public that it looks like it's missing.
Okay, so we're all set, right?
Yeah, as long as catalog D is set up the same way, that's fine.
Catalog dish should be set up the same way. Also, we are moving to, as part of monorepo, everything should be in operator. Controllers should be, and this should be fine too. Yeah, so catalog D also set up similar way.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. So yeah, that's mostly our topics. There is roadmap check-in. We should change it to 4.x release train. Let me tell the URL. But the dashboard is not ready yet, so I would actually skip it today. We can definitely come back to this next week, and we can go through it. There is nothing in my I don't remember anything to discuss on this, so we should be okay to kind of discuss next week. Yeah, that's all. That's all for today's meeting. Anybody have any other topics or any questions, suggestions? If not, I'll stop the share and stop the recording.